TV News Network. News 8 continues now.
And we begin at 5:30 with iTeammate and a judge's reaction to an iTeammate exclusive with the heads of Indiana courts. Indiana's Chief Justice wants every county to adopt a drug court to help keep people getting treatment and staying out of prison.
Now, after our story, one Central Indiana judge wants you to see how her court is working. iTeammate's Richard Essex continues our coverage.
We are inside the Madison County Drug Court. This court started in 2000, and after 23 years, they have seen just over 1,300 people. This is the kind of program that Chief Justice Rush wants to see statewide.
So I do think that the fact that we have these resources in our community makes our community better.
Angela Sims is one of 58 problem-solving judges in the state. She presides over the county's adult drug court, mental health, and reentry court. The goal of these courts is to address the root cause of crime, such as addiction, and encourage those standing in front of her court to make positive changes in their lives.
Certainly, when you're dealing with those that come into the criminal justice system, it's a very multifaceted problem you're dealing with. Certainly, the drug use is kind of the gateway that gets you here. But what we learn about these people and those that typically are addicted to drugs, again, they have their lives have kind of live in shambles. It's chaotic on lots of levels, with employment, with education, with their social economic status, depending on those things. Their family unit is usually destroyed or in disrepair. And so we really work in a very holistic approach to these people. I often say in court to people that, well, Judge, I've been sober for 6 months, I've been sober for a year, and I often look at them and said, being sober is probably the easiest thing you will do in this program.
Who gets into drug court programs and how they are chosen was one of my questions a few weeks ago during my extensive interview with Indiana Supreme Court Chief Justice Loretta Rush. She would like to see these courts expanded in Indiana into every county, as she says, to eliminate a justice by geography anomaly that disadvantages drug offenders depending on whether the county they are arrested in has a drug court.
That's what we're looking at. What are the interventions, the crisis interventions? It doesn't just start deep end. You usually have touched that person a couple of times before. So getting that diagnosis of substance use disorder up front, it could be just on a DUI, first-time DUI case. And then making sure that what you order as a court are things that actually work. And we now know what is evidence-based and works. So it's not always, I guess I want to say, it's not always the rock bottom person. You always say, when they hit bottom, they'll come up. I cannot tell you the parents that would come to court, into my courtroom and say, I couldn't wait for my kid to get arrested so I can get them some help. We need to make the help available for those family members prior to the fall.
Every drug court in Indiana holds a graduation for those that successfully complete the program. Many of these programs can take up to 2 years or longer to complete. Everyone in the Madison County Drug Court program is randomly drug tested at least twice a week. In 2022, out of 6,000 drug tests, only 1% tested positive for drugs. They have to attend hundreds of counseling sessions, maintain a job, and meet with a judge at least 30 times to discuss their progress.
It's getting all the other pieces put together to ensure that sobriety lasts and recovery lasts well beyond the program. And that's certainly our ultimate goal, is that they don't recidivize, they do not come back to the system, and they move on and they live, good, productive lives in our community. So I do think that the fact that we have these resources in our community makes our community better. And sometimes that's hard to see because, again, we like to focus on the negative and those that don't make it and the tragedies that do occur in the community. But I can equally sit down and point to, a lot of people that have been successful not only in the program but have continued to maintain success and contribute in a very positive way to our community. And so that's important. I think the other thing we have learned throughout the process, even those that do not successfully complete the program, they have gained and garnered certain skills and tools while they've been here that still allow them to build upon that even if they're outside of the program. And some of them go on to be very successful even though they didn't successfully complete the program.
How do you measure the success of these programs? Numbers tell one side of the story. According to data collected from Judge Sims' court from 2015 to 2021, graduates of the problem-solving court had a recidivism rate of less than 20%, which is half of the national average.
And if we can provide these services that keep them out of the system, keep them from committing crime, again, the ripple effect of that is probably, it's hard to even quantify. When someone is restored back to sobriety and recovery, it's just not that one person. It's those, that person's maybe even parents, their children, their children's children. If we're able to restore those things and break that cycle, I see that the positive effects really, again, are pretty unquantifiable.
Funding for problem-solving courts remain an issue. The General Assembly did not add any additional funding in the state budget that was just passed. In Indianapolis, Richard Essex, Wish TV, iTeam 8.